Hi, I'm Lisa. Welcome back to my channel. This is a follow-up one from a previous video where I've shown you how to design your own iris folding pattern using a square, but to be able to use any number or letters that you would like. So I have cut out my 50. Do make sure you hold on to this bit. You don't have to put it back in place, but I quite like putting the centre of the 0 back in place. As with any iris folding, we're not working on this side, we're always working on the back. These we don't actually need, but I always find things like this really useful. You could always make like a little gift tag to go with the card if you liked, with the 50 on. So we'll pop those numbers up out of the way. With this design, I'm trialling something new that I haven't done before. I'm trialling a two-tone pattern where I'm actually only using 2 different colours. So I've gone for this. So all the paper I use is kind of around 60 to 80 GSM, and generally is marketed as origami paper. So I've got this kind of darker purple colour and this really kind of lovely pale, and it's got, I don't know whether you can see it, this like little sparkly sheen to it, which is really lovely. So what we first need to do is we need a little bit of blue tack to secure our pattern in place. If you haven't got a pattern, just head down to the link in the description box below. I'm going to just in here, this is where I hide my blue tack. So if you've got a little tape dispenser like this, I just use a little hole in there to keep my blue tack in, and it keeps it all nicely in place. So let's pop this in place. So we need a couple of little blobs of blue tack and pop this in. I'm just going to make sure that this is so that you can actually see it. Let's move that one. There we go. Okie dokie. Then we want to secure our blank in place. And like I say, we're not working on this side. We are absolutely working on this side. So let's secure this one where it needs to be. So I'm going to have a go at doing the 0 first, because this one I think is a little bit more kind of nice and straightforward. So it's attached in place. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit so you can see a little closer. Right, hopefully that's nice and close for you to see. Now, you can mark down exactly what colours you're using. I'm going to go for the lighter colour that I've got on the top, and that's going to be along here. And then I'm going to go for the darker colour along the bottom here. So because it's quite a simple pattern, I don't feel like I need to write this one down. If you've never done iris folding before, we just need strips of paper, and they're just over kind of 1.5 centimetres, just under an inch sort of size. I'm going to put these together and just cut these. I'll do not sure how many I'm going to need, but I think maybe I'll do 4 strips because I've got the 5 to go as well. So it doesn't need to be accurate. You can use a paper trimmer or a guillotine for this as well. I've just readjusted us a little bit again. So I've got my strips. So I'm just going to sort out. I've got my light and my dark. Now the important thing with iris folding is to always make sure that you are following the numbers and not the colours. So you do not want to just do all of these sections first, then all of these sections. Otherwise you're going to find yourself having to trim tiny little pieces to be able to kind of cut and fit. So we don't want to do that. We just want to follow the numbers. So as I said, I'm planning on doing the lighter colour on the top and then the darker colour on the bottom. So I'm starting off on number 1. If you've not done iris folding before, if you've got a sheet like this that has got colour on one side, plain on the other, you want to go with the coloured side face down. You're folding over a little piece, about 1/3, and this is what you have. And it's this edge here that is our fold. So we're working this way. with the smaller fold kind of flat piece this way. And what we want to do is where this number 1 is, we are going to put our piece against that line and cover the whole of that number 1 segment. So we're going to trim that piece off. And then what you'll find on here, I'm doing that, but there's a bit of an overlap here, and I'm going to actually cut some of that off and trim it to fit now rather than waiting till later. So there we go. Now you're wanting to use a sellotape. I generally use it in a dispenser because your dispenser means as long as it's kind of a heavy weighted dispenser, you can actually hold on to this with one hand and use the tape with the other. So I'm going to secure that one in place there. Number 2 is the same colour again. So again, we're putting that fold over that straight line and covering the whole of the number 2 segment. So again, there's a little bit of an overlap over this side, so I'm going to trim off a little bit on here. Don't worry if you need to trim a couple of times. If you don't manage to trim off enough the first time, the more kind of experience you have with it, the more it's easier to judge. So number 2 is there. Don't worry about these bits flapping up. We're going to come to being able to secure all of those. And actually it's quite nice. You can just check and see what number you're on previously as well with this. Now this piece isn't going to be enough. We don't use this piece and add on an extra bit. We'll get a new strip. So we'll make that strip ready. We're going to again follow that line, cover the whole of the number 3 segment. We've still got a little overhang over here, so we're just going to trim off again a little bit from here. Have I trimmed off enough there? Let's see. Perfect. So again, we're going to secure that in place. It doesn't matter if you're going over the other pieces we've already secured. Number 4 is also the paler colour. So I'm going to trim off, and I am going to trim off that really little bit because I can see I've got really small bits further on that it might be useful for. So number 4 was number 4, wasn't it? Yes, number 4 covered. So number 5, I need to change colour because I'm now coming up onto these colours here. So I'm going to get my number 5. If you've got one with the same on both sides, it does not matter which side you use. And we're going to cover that number 5 segment here. Let's see if, there we go. Yes, that will cover nicely. We'll secure him in place. Oh, I've got a bit of an overhang there that I didn't trim off. Ooh, there we go. All sorted. So we've done number 5. We're now moving on to number 6 over here. So I actually need to get another piece. I think I might end up needing to cut off some more of these colours. Right, that's going to cover the number 6. Across here. Number 7, we're back to the darker purple. These colours remind me of a bedroom that I used to have when I was little. There we go. Just looking, that one's just got, again, another little bit that I just want to trim off. There we go. So that was number 7. Like I say, it's quite useful if you can just peel back and see what we're on. Number 7, moving on to number 8. So we're back to our paler colour. There's number 8. Make sure it's nicely in place. Number 8. Number 9, we're back to this darker colour. And we'll trim off that. So once you get the hang of iris folding, it's a really nice mindful craft. 9, then we're moving on to number 10. I wonder whether that one will fit. Oh, it will. I do like it when I've got a leftover little piece that perfectly fits. So that was number 10. We're moving on to number 11. That one's not going to be quite big enough, so we'll start on a new piece. So, number 11. There we go. So it does start to get a little, and you can kind of feel it, a little bit bulky. You don't need to worry about that. what we've done on here is we've got a card kind of that we're then going to mount onto a card blank, but we're going to do that with little foam pads so you won't even notice. So after 11 I'm moving on to 12, which again I've got a really satisfying piece left that will fit that one. 13, we're back down onto the darker colour. Now again, I'm not sure how this is going to work out. It's the first time I've used the square pattern, but actually didn't quite align that properly. But it's the first time that I've used it just with kind of outer parts rather than using the middle. So I'm interested to see how this is going to turn out. Got 13, 14 is this little piece here on there. Then we've got 15 to get covered here. And then we've only got one piece left. Now, normally on Iris Fold, when we've got one piece left, for starters, you don't need to fold it over if you don't want to. You can just cover. But often I've used an alternative kind of piece, like a little piece of sparkly card or something like that. But for this particular design, I don't want to do that because I've just used these two tones. I am going to wear this little, I'm going to trim off that little end there. And then I'm going to just get a piece of sellotape to run down this side and just keep those all nice and tidy. So because we're at the end, now is the time that you can peek. Don't peek before this bit. I'm going to turn it over, see how it looks, and then we can move on to the number 5. Oh, here we go. Oh, I quite like the effect. That looks really quite nice. So I did mention earlier, don't lose your little piece for the middle, because that is then going to go on in that place. So actually I'm really pleased with how the zeros come out. I'm interested to see whether the 5 will come out as well. I'm going to leave that and add this on later. So now I'm going to move on and do the 5. I'm just going to adjust so that the 5 is more in the middle of the screen for you. So hopefully that means the 5 is a little more central for you. Let's put this in place. Now, oh, helps if I put the blue tack, or should I say pink tack, on before. Right, here we go. So we're securing this in place. Again, you'll note the number 5 is on the reverse, and that's because we work on the back for iris folding. Now this one is a tad more tricky, only because we're going either side. So on these bits, number 1 has just got one bit, but number 2, I need to make sure I've got a piece that goes across here and across here. And a piece for number 3 that again is going across. And the same on these, I've got kind of an 11 going all the way across, a 9 going all the way across. And it's important to make sure that we use one sheet for these so you get a really nice clear defined line. So we're going to start back off at number 1. I'm going to do the same as what I did on the other side, where I'm going to do the darker colours are all going to be going across this way, and then I'm going to do the lighter colours coming along this way. I do think I'm going to need a few more bits of paper, so I'm just going to trim off a couple more in advance. I like to, if I'm kind of on a roll, I don't want to have to stop and kind of cut off other strips, so I'd like to do some strips in advance. So this time, in contrast, we're going to be starting off with the darker colour. So number 1, and I'm going to cover that. You can see we've got this little overhang again that we're going to just need to trim off. So let's move that one out of the way. So number 1. Now this is where it's a little bit more fiddly sometimes. I've only got, you can go for a larger kind of border around your 50, but I want kind of this to then back onto another piece of coloured card before I then attach onto a white card blank. Hence why I've got to do these really kind of tight bits on the side. So you can just use a little bit of sellotape, and it doesn't have to go kind of on this side. You can do it kind of further down so that we can fit it all on. Now let's move on to number 2. So number 2, this is where I say, not only are we doing this bit here, but we're doing this part up here as well. So we need to make sure we're covering both sections. You can do the 2 and the 2 and do separate pieces. However, the line looks so much cleaner and crisper if you are doing it as one continuous. I'm just going to try and trim off this so we can make sure that it fits and doesn't stick off the side. So again, this one's slightly fiddly. So I'm going to just attach it down here. It won't matter. As we go around, we'll be able to attach this in place. And like we did on the 0, we'll be able to put a piece of tape down to neaten off those sides. So we've done number 2. We're still then moving on to number 3 in the same colour. So I'm just going to fold over this one as well. There we go. Trim that down to size. We are going to need a bit more off there, I think. Have I done enough? Yes. So number 3, again, covering both sections of that 5. So we've done 3. Moving on to 4 next. Again, we're still working on that same colour. But as I've said before, don't get carried away. This is the bit where it's really easy, especially when you've had a set of colours that are all the same. It's very easy to think, oh, once I've done this number 4, I'm just going to move on to the next one round. We want to make sure we're following the numbers and not the colours. So once we've done number 4 here, we are then moving on to number 5, which is round here. This is so that you get the right overlaps in the right places. Otherwise, you're going to get to a section and you're going to start needing to feel like you're trying to trim little pieces off. We don't want that. If it seems too complicated, you've probably gone wrong somewhere, is generally what I would say with iris folding. Because it should be this very neat pattern and structure. So if you're thinking, oh, I need to do a little bit of kind of cutting there, probably it's not quite right somewhere. Right, number 6, we still are going slightly across this end here. So we'll fold over another piece because my leftover piece is not quite big enough. So number 6, running that all the way along up here. See, I'm not sure if I've got the right. Oh yes, it does still fit. I just don't want that overhang. There we go. That one is in place. Okie dokie. So then we're moving on to number 7, which number 7 is across here in the lighter colour. I'm really liking the colours. Okie doke. If, like me, you continually forget what number you're on, it's quite good to be able to peek back. So rather than kind of sticking it all down, by doing this, I can see that it's number 7. Moving on to number 8. Now, number 8, you could just do this section. There's such a little tiny bit here that it really won't matter about doing that bit. So I'm just going to do this little bit of 8 here. And I can probably use one of these pieces. Yes. Here we go. So there's number 8. So number 9, this is where we're going over this section here, plus this section here as well. Will this be big enough? Oh, I think it might. There's number 9. Just be careful when you get to, so number 9 can look a little bit like G sometimes, so just be careful. Often I do the numbers and the letters in different colours, and that can help as well. So I've done number 9. I'm moving on to number 10. I've got some little pieces here, so let's trim that one off. Don't get rid of any of your little scraps of paper. I've got a couple of projects, a landscape and a seascape, that are really good to use up little kind of leftover pieces. So I've got number 10, number 11, we're 11 here and 11 here. So again, we want a full strip to go over. So I'm going to fold over a new one here. And then moving on. Now with this, we just want to make sure you don't want to stop on this bit here. Otherwise you're going to have some left over here. So we need a slightly larger piece. And to make sure that I'm covering this section here, I'm going to start over here and make sure I can't see any of that aperture underneath. So that is number 11 in place. Number 12, moving on around a fraction. So it's so tempting to think, oh, I really want to have a look and see how it's going and see if it's working, especially when it's kind of new like this, where I've not tried doing just this duo kind of before, but you just can't peek just yet. You've got to wait for the big reveal. 13, we've got a little bit of 13 here and 13 here. So we're going to make sure we completely cover that one and the line on this piece as well. So there we go, securing that one in place. Next off, we've got a tiny little bit of 14. I don't know, will he fit? Oh, it will. I love it when a little piece fits. So that's number 14. After that, we're moving on to 15, 16 and 17, and those are all going to be in the lighter colour. So we've got 15 here. And then we've just got 16 and 17 left. 16. There's 16 and 17. Like I say, you don't have to have folded over, but if you've already got a piece like this left, I wouldn't worry. I would just cover over that section. Now I do just like to make sure I've got no bits, so that's maybe a bit flappy. Let's put another piece over this one, and just on this side edge as well, I'd just like to put a little bit, not too close, so that it overhangs the edge, but it just keeps it in place. I might do another piece there as well. Okie doke, we are ready for the big reveal. I wonder, is this going to come out how I'm hoping it will? Oh yes, I'm really pleased with that. Really pleased with that. Now looking at this, looks like I'm going to need a little bit of glue underneath this bit to hold it in place. This piece is holding down okay actually, so I don't think I'll put any on that, but I think I need a little bit of something under there. And obviously I'm going to be placing this one over here. Normally with these sort of bits, I'd probably use kind of glue dots or something underneath those. As I mentioned at the start, don't worry about how bulky your design ends up being on the back. I use foam pads, and on a design like this, I would probably put foam pads 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I wouldn't do foam pads near these side edges here. I would just do 3 at the top, 3 at the bottom, and then mount it onto it can go directly onto a card lamp, but I'm actually going to mount it onto probably another purple, kind of maybe a darker purple piece of card, and then add it onto a card blank. So to mount up for my 50, I need to make sure I knew I'd lose that little piece again. Right, here we go. So I'm just going to use, I've stuck down this little part of the 5. I'm just going to now pop a little bit of glue on this one and stick him back in the middle on there like that. And then, as I said, my plan is, I've got this card blank. My plan is to have probably a border. I did this, I think it was 5 inches by 5 inches. So my plan is to have a little border going round on here and then mounting it onto the card blank behind. So as I mentioned, for this bit, I definitely prefer to use the little foam pads. So I'm going to do foam pads across the top and the bottom. I'm not going to put any on the sides, otherwise it's going to make it look a little bit uneven, because there is definitely a little rise on each of those sides. So this should give it a really nice consistent kind of depth on the card. So now you can measure exactly where you're going to place this. I generally prefer to do it by eye, and I find that lining up my, I'm going to see which one's got the best corner on here. That's got the best looking corner. I generally prefer to, and for this you need to stand up so that you get a good look on it. And I'm looking at this corner here, and I want the space between here and the top to be as similar as I can get it. Then I start to look at the top kind of line and check that that's going to be going parallel. And again, I'm checking then down on this side, and that looks about right to me. And then you just want to gently press on your foam pads. Now, I'm slightly obsessed with my new guillotine, and I'm hoping it's all going to work well with it, because I was finding my paper trimmer just wasn't giving me a nice cut. So let's see how I get on with this. I think, again, you can measure, but I'm just trying to work out. I think that's roughly where I want it. This is the bit that always makes me slightly nervous doing this. Right, hold that bit in place, and then, oh, I think that looks okay. Maybe slightly out on that side. I'll see when I do the other section. Right, let's lift that back up. Again, put that gently under. That maybe, is that about there? Let's see. I think it's a little bit thicker on that bit, so I'm going to just take that fraction, match it up a bit more on the grid. Let's see how that goes. I didn't want to move quite so much all this way. I think I might just be going ooh with the scissors, and as steady a hand as I can get. Okie doke, right. Let's see. Move that one out of the way. So we've got our 50. We've got our card blank. And that is going to be attached to here. I'm just looking inside my card blank. Oh, it's not looking. Oh, it's a bit dirtier than I want that to be. Hang on a second. Here we go. I've got another one that looks a whole lot better inside. And then I just want to put this one in the centre here. Now, rather than using foam pads for this one, especially if you want to post your card, you are definitely going to want to try and reduce that profile a little. So for this, I'm just going to use double-sided tape. I like this one. It's I think it's called Finger Lift or something, where you've got the tape, but you've got these few millimeters either side that don't have the tape on, and it makes it much easier. Like, can still be challenging, but much easier to remove the backing off. So let's pop this one on here, and then I might just do a little piece down the middle for good luck. So yeah, hopefully you can kind of just hold that bit and pull those bits off. There's that one. There we go. Move those bits out of the way. Then let's line it up and stick it down. And there you have it. That is how you can do any, and like I say, it can be a number, it can be letters. I've done them before where I've just had kind of one letter for somebody's kind of first name initial. I have done it before where you could do things like mum or dad for special occasions. So I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks ever so much for watching, and I'll be back with another video hopefully very soon.